Have you ever noticed Google search doesn't really feel like a search engine anymore? A few days ago, I searched for the best wireless mouse. Before I even clicked a single website, Google's AI had already answered the question for me. And one of those recommendations came from a YouTube short from a creator I had never heard of. Now, I am not saying that the recommendation was wrong. It could have been a great recommendation. But it made me stop and think, who decided this was the answer I should trust? That's when I realized somewhere along the way, Google stopped helping me search the web and started trying to answer it for me. Let me be clear before the comments do. This isn't a Google is bad video. I still use Android, I still watch YouTube, and I still rely on Google Maps. And I genuinely think Google has one of the best search engines ever built. So this wasn't about escaping Google. I just wanted to answer one question. Do I still need Google search? My first thought was, why not just switch to DuckDuckGo? So I tried, but there was one problem. Earlier this year, my laptop's MediaTek MT7902 Wi-Fi driver gave me an absolute headache. After hours of searching, I eventually found an unofficial GitHub repository that fixed the issue. Out of curiosity, I searched for the same fix on DDG and it never showed up. That immediately made me lose confidence, because if a search engine can't find something I have personally dependent on, I am not ready to trust it with everything else. Then there's Kagi. I have heard great things about it, but it's a paid search engine and I wanted this experiment to be something anyone watching could try today. Brave Search. Honestly, I just haven't tested it enough. It wouldn't be fair for me to recommend it or criticize it without actually living with it first. So I landed on Startpage, not because I think it's the best search engine and not because I think Google is terrible. I chose it because it gave me the fairest experiment. Startpage uses Google's search result while aiming to keep your searches separate from your Google account. That meant I wasn't changing the quality of the search index, I was changing the search experience, and that's exactly what I wanted to test. The rules were simple. For the next 7 days, Google search was gone. Every Linux problem, every programming question, every shopping search, everything had to go through Startpage. No cheating, no just this one. Just 1 week to answer a question I don't think I had ever asked myself before. Had I become dependent on Google or was I just used to it? Let's find out. The first thing that surprised me wasn't the search quality. It wasn't privacy either. It was how the search result felt. And I don't mean the home page. I mean the page you actually spend your time looking at. Google's results page has changed a lot over these years. AI overviews, shopping carts, videos. People also ask before you even reach the actual search results. Start page felt completely different. My eyes naturally went straight to the website. I wasn't deciding which box to read first. I was deciding which website I wanted to open. Maybe that's just my preference, but after a week, I genuinely found it less distracting and honestly a little less addictive too. I decided to start with something simple: weather. Google showed me Lucknow, Startpage showed me Kanpur. The funny part is I am in Prayagraj. Since both searches were done in private browsing, I am calling this one a tie. They both gave me the information I actually wanted. Next, Mount Everest's height. Google immediately generated an AI answer. Height, location, everything right there. Startpage showed me Wikipedia overview. At first, I thought Google had better experience, but then when I read Wikipedia overview and I realized something, Google answered my question, Wikipedia answered my curiosity. If I only wanted one fact, Google was definitely faster, but if I actually wanted to understand the topic, I found myself spending more time reading on Startpage. Then I searched what is Linux. Exactly the same pattern. Google summarized it. Startpage pointed me to Wikipedia. Both were useful, just in different ways. That's when something clicked. I wasn't really comparing Google and Startpage anymore. I was comparing AI generated answers against the traditional web. But let's be honest, I don't search for Mount Everest every day. I search because something breaks. Usually it's Linux. So I search for something I actually deal with. Kdenlive proxy clips. Google showed me an AI overview. Startpage showed websites, and honestly, I prefer the websites. When I am troubleshooting, I don't want an AI to summarize 5 forum posts. I want read the forum post myself. Up until this time, I kept waiting for that one moment where I would think, yep, I need Google back. But surprisingly, it never happened. Then I searched for something people actually spend money on, and that's where the experiment became much more interesting. The biggest surprise of this entire experiment, it wasn't Linux, it wasn't privacy, it was shopping. I searched for best wireless mouse, and this time Google genuinely impressed me. Its AI overview pulled together recommendations instantly. But while looking through those recommendations, I noticed something interesting. One of the sources was a YouTube short from a creator I had never heard of. Let me be clear, I am not saying that creator was wrong. They could know exactly what they are talking about. This isn't about subscriber count, it's about something much more bigger, trust. Years ago, Google's job was to help find me websites. Now, Google's AI is increasingly deciding which information I should read first, and sometimes that information comes from sources I know, and sometimes it doesn't. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it did make me stop and ask, how much of my searching is actually my decision anymore? Startpage handled this very differently. There was no AI overview, just websites, reviews, articles, forums. I had to decide which source I trust. It took a little different effort, but I also felt more in control. Now, to be completely fair, this is also where Google wins. Product cards, prices, shopping integration, everything is simply more polished. If shopping is one of the main reason you use a search engine, Google is still ahead. The rest of my testing was actually pretty straightforward. Flights both worked, hotels both worked, restaurants both worked. Image search was another pleasant surprise. I searched for the Linux logo as a PNG. Google had the usual image filters, but Startpage actually gave me more size options, including custom resolutions. It's a simple detail, but if you work with wallpapers, thumbnails, and transparent logos, it's genuinely useful. News was probably the only place where I constantly preferred Google. Google's AI highlighted stories that had happened just a few hours earlier. Startpage overview was older during my testing. The news websites were still there, but Google's freshness was better. When I started this experiment, I thought I would spend the whole week talking about privacy, but that's not what happened. Privacy wasn't the biggest difference, the search experience was. Google wants to answer your questions as quickly as possible. Startpage wants to help you search the web. Neither approach is objectively better. It depends on what you want. If you love AI summaries, Google is fantastic. If you enjoy opening different sources, comparing opinions, and deciding for yourself, Startpage feels surprisingly refreshing. So after 1 week, did I completely quit Google? No. Google still has the better ecosystem, better shopping, better AI integration, better news, and honestly, that's exactly what I expected. What I didn't expect was how little I actually missed Google search. For almost everything I search on a daily basis, Startpage quietly did its job and got out of my way. I started this experiment thinking I was comparing search engines, but by the end, I realized I was comparing two completely different philosophies. One tries to answer your question, the other helps you find your own answers. I don't think the biggest change in search was AI. I think the biggest change was that we slowly stopped choosing our sources and started trusting someone else to choose them for us. Maybe that's progress. Maybe it isn't. I'll let you decide. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.